My name is Jessica Harrington. I'm a school teacher and running for state representative in District 64 against one of the most dangerous legislators in the state of Florida. When a bad piece of legislation comes out of Tallahassee, it's almost a guarantee that my opponent wrote the bill. After Amendment 4, he created a poll tax to continue voter suppression here in Florida. He wrote a union-busting bill to hurt teachers, and he refuses to hear any meaningful criminal justice reform bills. And just this session, he wrote a bill to make it harder for Floridians to get amendments onto the ballot. It's time for new, bold, progressive leadership in Tallahassee. Let's kick out the good old boys club and put someone in who is going to protect our environment, fund our public schools, and bring local control back to our communities. And with coronavirus, we see now more than ever that Floridians deserve health care as a right, not as a perk of employment. We have just a few days left before the fundraising deadline. Can you chip in $5 or $10 to help us meet our goal? With your help, we can send a teacher to Tallahassee.
All right, I've got Jessica here. I'm going to move her a little bit so she's in the center of the screen, but I think other than that, we are pretty much good to go. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, I was told, I don't remember who it was, but somebody was like, hey, you got to talk to her. She's great. And I was like, okay, tell me who she is.
Was it the 90 for 90 people?
I think it was, yeah. I think it was them.
Yeah, they're wonderful. They're wonderful.
They are absolutely wonderful. All right, who are you? What are you doing? What do you do? Why should we like you? I mean, I already like you. I don't know why that is, but why should everyone else?
Okay, so my name is Jessica Harrington. I am a school teacher here in Tampa. I actually, before I moved back to Tampa, I lived in Gainesville for 10 years. So it's kind of pretty cool being able to talk to someone that's running for office in Gainesville. So yeah, I have been teaching for about 12 years now in public schools. I'm a product of the public school system. And, just like everyone else, after 2016, I decided, I need to get off the sidelines. I'd always been a voter. I've worked on campaigns, but it was at the point where I didn't see enough people running for office that were fighting for the values that I really, really cared about and that I think people care about. So I decided to throw my name onto the ballot in 2018.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, shoot. Yeah, I mean, you can basically take exactly what you said and flip it over for me and us at this point. I mean, it's, we saw what was going on and said, we don't have any other choice. We have to. Tell me, how is teaching right now? How wonderful is it?
It's a struggle, but it's definitely, I mean, there's pros and cons for sure. I like the fact that, I can sleep in a little bit more. Don't tell my boss that.
Don't tell the kids that either.
The kids are sleeping in. They don't log in until 2 p.m. It's awful. And they're sometimes they're on at 2 in the morning doing work after they've played video games all day. But it's a learning process.
Sounds pretty good, actually.
Yeah, we have kids that, that didn't have laptops, that didn't have access to internet. So it really showed everyone that there was a lot of inequity and inequality in education in our school systems, with people not having access to basic things that we think are basic, computers and internet. And so it was a struggle trying to make sure we got the students that, but now it's kind of, it's settled. So we are, we're doing the online learning, we're rocking and rolling. We have about 3 weeks left of school and we're going to try to push through.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's fantastic. I saw that you are also a member of Moms Demand. And so you want to tell us a little bit about that, kind of how you got into it, what really pushed you off the sidelines. We talked a little bit earlier, me and Cody, about, Ahmad and just what happened with him. But I mean, obviously, gun violence is a huge issue in our country and really in everyday life. And so you just kind of want to talk a little bit about what inspired you, to jump off the sidelines for that.
So when I was just starting out teaching, I think I was 2 years into teaching. I was living in Gainesville, and that was when the murder of Trayvon Martin happened. And it was just so shocking. And, Trayvon looked like some of the kids I taught. And I just, like, from that day, I had to get involved. So, I ended up moving back to Tampa around that same time. I went to a protest rally in front of the courthouse in downtown Tampa. And later that movement, that rally ended up, that was a local version of Black Lives Matter. And then it became a national movement. So first, I was involved with, just showing up as an ally in the Black Lives Matter movement. And then later joining Moms Demand Action after the Parkland shooting happened. Just being a teacher, and this is, these are happening at our schools. Our children are being gunned down. I had to do something. And so joining Moms Demand seemed like a perfect fit because it is nonpartisan. And the number one goal of Moms Demand Action is gun safety and ending gun violence. We're not here to take your guns away. We're not trying to repeal the Second Amendment. We are gun owners. We are Second Amendment supporters. We care about your rights, but we want to make sure that we can end gun violence together. And we have to do that with gun owners and with non-gun owners working together.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's one really powerful thing is, it's Democrats, it's Republicans that have basically said, we're sick of people who don't know what they're doing with guns, who are not safe with them, being near children, being with our children, and people getting killed because of it. I think it's on average, 12 kids under the age of 6 die a week or something, just because somebody didn't lock up a firearm correctly and they got their hands on it. I mean, if that number was 12 a year, that would be tragic. This makes no sense to me. And so for me, especially, when I see numbers like that, when I see things like that happen, I viscerally don't understand. I can't understand how nothing has been done about it. But then again, I look at what we're seeing now, with the pandemic, and I start to understand because we have our state opening back up. We have people going into harm's way. And it's almost like we've gotten to the point where we think, this is probably the most American way to think is, we've tried stuff for like 3 weeks and it didn't work as well as we wanted it to. It got too expensive. So therefore we're done. We just quit.
Yeah, it's something we definitely need to address as a country. We need to really come together. I mean, I think I read a story today about a postal worker that was shot and killed because someone's unemployment check wasn't in the mail. And so they shot the postal worker. Like what? I don't want to live in a country like that.
I think there was a lady who walked into a McDonald's and shot 3 people because they wouldn't let her come in there without a mask and eat in the dining room. And it was just like, that's why, I mean, even, I went to Outback the other day just to, get takeout. And I was sitting there in the parking lot, and the owner of the store was yelling at somebody at their car who was like a DoorDash driver because that person had been berating their staff. And I'm sitting there going, we're all like, this is not a good thing. Like, we're not in a great situation. Yeah, tensions are high, but there is no reason for people to take it into their own hands and on somebody who it's not their fault. Like, for me, seeing that, and then also, people that are not safe with firearms to begin with. If tensions are high and you are already somebody who's not safe with a firearm, I mean, that's why we have red flag laws, isn't it? I mean, you would know more about that than I would with the position that you're in. But so let's kind of tell me a little bit about the person that you are running against. Let's start there.
Tell me who you're
running against. Tell me what made you jump in. I believe you ran in 2018.
Yeah.
Okay,
so I am running against the longest serving state house legislator in the entire state of Florida. And you might be wondering, well, how can that possibly be? And it's because my opponent, Jamie Grant, he found a loophole in the Florida Constitution that's going to allow him to be a state representative for 16 years instead of the term limit of 8 years. So he's been in there since 2010. He can be there until 2023 if he chooses, but not if I have anything to do with it. So back in 2018, I was looking for, a way to be involved, and I decided to check out my local, who is my local representative? I didn't even know. So I looked up who it was. It was Jamie Grant. and he hadn't had a Democratic challenger in a decade. And I was like, oh, no, you know, like it was 2018 at that point. The Trump election had happened. And so I decided to, you know, drive 4 hours to Tallahassee during the week of the filing deadline and put my name on the ballot. I came home, had no idea what I was doing, had no campaign team. We had no money. We were literally a ragtag, you know, campaign. And on election night, we came within 7 points. I mean, we got 36,000 votes to his 41,000, and we only lost by 5,000 votes. And to me, without knocking any doors, having no campaign and no money, how did we do that? You know, and it shows you that our district is not as red as people think. So when I saw that happen, I said, you know, I need to do this the right way. I don't need to jump into, you know, a campaign so late. So let's try doing it early. Yeah. So in April 2019, I put my name back up to run for office, and we have been hitting the ground running ever since. We've raised close to $50,000. We just took on a campaign manager that worked to help Obama flip Florida blue. We have a field organizer, and we have a great group of volunteers from all across the country. Shout out to Common Purpose in Seattle, Washington. That's going to help us flip the seat. So the reason our race is so important and why people are so invested in my race is because of who I'm running against. I mean, they like the fact that I'm a teacher. I was teacher of the year at my school. They like the fact that I'm fighting for everyday Floridians. You know, we want access to health care. We need our funded public schools. We need our environment to be protected. All of those things we care about, that's what we're running on. But we're also running to be that contrast to Jamie Grant. He is the poll tax. You know, he created the Florida poll tax. So after all of us voted for Amendment 4, he's the one that came in and wrote that legislation. And that's Jim Crow 2.0. I mean, it's voter suppression at, you know, just with a different name. He also, you know, I'm a union member. He wrote HB1, which was a union busting bill to make it harder for us to keep our unions together. And the list really goes on and on. He refuses to work on criminal justice reform. He's one of the reasons why the unemployment system is broken, because he was one of the lawmakers in 2011 that actually voted to gut unemployment. So there's a lot of reasons why this guy is a bad guy and he needs to go. He does not represent the people. He thinks of himself as a part-time legislator, and he's not. You're not a part-time legislator. You might be in Tallahassee part-time making laws, but you represent us full-time. And when you make laws that ruin people's lives, you're ruining their lives full-time. So we are here to be a contrast to that. We are going to take him out in November, but we're going to need everybody's help. We know we can win this race.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've done quite a bit. I know Cody has written quite a bit. Cody's our communications director. He was on a little bit ago.
Yeah, he's great.
He really is. Yeah, he and his wife just found out that they are pregnant. I don't think I'm allowed to say what it is, what the gender is yet. I don't think I'm allowed to say. Cody's probably gonna. I'm probably gonna get a text. Congratulations to them. He still calls me the old person. I'm like, you're married with a family. Like, come on. But yeah, he's obviously written some stuff on, you know, the poll taxes as well as everything basically you just talked about. But really, I mean, right now, as you know, the guy that you are running against is one of the reasons that so many people are out of work and don't have a way to be able to make their rent or make their mortgage, because he decided that he was going to essentially rewrite and help gut our unemployment office. Rick Scott, after 2008, along with them, on purpose, decided that the way to make it seem like Florida wasn't doing as badly as it was doing is to make it so that it's almost impossible for people to file, because if nobody's able to file, that means we don't have unemployed people, right?
Yeah.
Hey, that's what that means.
And I think, you know, the fact that we have one of the lowest unemployment benefits, and also we have the shortest amount of weeks. So we really do decentivize. We make sure that people don't really want to apply for it because it's not really worth it. You know, it's only $275 a week. You can't get it that long. So all of those put together, it makes for a really fake narrative. saying that, look how great Florida, everyone's to work. No, they're not. They're not to work. And if they are, they're usually working 2 or 3 or 4 jobs. I know as a teacher, we are the 48th worst paid teachers in the country.
Yeah.
And, and the only way we can survive and continue to afford being teachers is we have to work 2 or 3 jobs. I know when I was living in Gainesville, that was my first year teaching. Oh my gosh, this is the cutest dog ever.
Yeah. He decided that he was done being on the ground and he needs to now be on my lap.
Yeah. But, I was working as a bartender my first 3 years of teaching.
Yeah.
And it was really sad, and,
yeah.
And it was tough, always being tired, having to work, never having a day off. And sometimes, my parents from my school, I would teach their kids during the day and I'm serving them drinks at night. Like it was definitely a hot mess. So we need to make sure we're paying our teachers and make sure we're paying everybody else. I mean, our bus drivers, our nurses, we need to make sure everybody across the board in education is getting paid.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I mean, the biggest thing right now is, we can afford to do whatever your opponent decides he wants to write up. We can afford that. It doesn't matter what it is. He always finds the money. But when it comes to actually making sure that teachers can survive and everyone else actually has a decent living, that's too hard. I think you saw somebody today. I think you were out, feeding people. And I think that you saw somebody today.
Yes, we did.
You talked to. So tell me a little bit about that.
I did. So I was volunteering this morning with Feeding Tampa Bay, which is one of our local food banks.
Yeah.
So we had this big, giant mobile pantry where literally people were lined up for hours and hours in the morning, and the line went on for miles. Like it was very sad to see how many people in our community need help. And who walks up but none other than Senator Bill Galvano. And he is as we know, he is the Senate president. Yeah. So he walks up and he's thanking everyone, thank you for being here and doing God's work. And, we can't rely on the government. We need, people like you to help. And
what do you mean we can't rely? We can't rely on him? So he's the government, but we can't rely on the government. So isn't he just like cutting himself down? Like that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, it doesn't. And I have the receipt. I have a video of that too. I have the receipt book on that. So anyway, so after
you have a video of that?
Oh, I have a video.
Oh, that is wonderful. Can you please make that like an ad? Like write that thing up, send it to whoever's running against him.
Yeah, I'll send it to her. But actually, I can't really because he actually is termed out. So, but his robot, like they have someone lined up to run in his place. So I go up to Senator Galvano after everyone kind of disperses, and I kind of interrupt. I'm like, hey, Senator, can I just ask you a quick question before we get started? And he's like, yeah, okay. And I said, Senator, why is it that you voted no on returning for a special session? Every single Republican in the Florida House, and I'm pretty sure in the Senate, voted no for a special session to fix the unemployment system and to address maybe we need to vote by mail for the entire state.
Yeah.
And it was just so ironic to me. Maybe that's not the right word, but it was just so hypocritical that he's here at a food bank helping distribute food when all he has to do is they have to call a special session and they need to go and fix unemployment so that people don't actually have to be in a food line.
So that one makes me mad because the person with the power to make sure that all these people don't have to go to the food bank and make sure that all these people are not suffering is the one standing there saying, well, you can't rely on the government and you can't actually, fix what's broken when literally he's the one who could. I'm sorry, but that is no excuse for me. And honestly, if I was there, I would not.
Oh, believe me, if I wasn't a candidate, it would have been I probably would have gotten escorted off the premise. But I'll tell you right now, what really hurts me is that our small businesses are struggling. I mean, there's some small businesses decimated.
That
they may not.
The building behind me in this building, basically in the last 2 weeks, 8 of these companies have gone under. 8. And what does that tell you? That tells you that they've gotten no help because you know what? I haven't seen a McDonald's location go under yet. I haven't seen a Steak and Shake location go under yet. I haven't seen Taco Bell. But all of a sudden, all of our family-owned and small businesses and startups, you know, they don't have anything to fall back on. And as soon as they go away, they're away for good. They're not just going to go find a new owner and prop up the same employees, the same company, the same location. It doesn't happen. There's no backup for them. And what the Florida government has done is essentially say, you're on your own. Like the city of Gainesville has done, in County of Alachua, has done more for small businesses by creating their own basically fund to help people that are struggling with like their rent and stuff than the state of Florida has. And tell me which one has more power.
It's really sad because they, you know, Tallahassee, the legislators there, it's always a tight budget year. They can never find money to do these things. But how all of a sudden they can find $500 million in tax breaks for these large corporations, and that when that money should have gone to our small businesses. And I hope the people that work at these small businesses, that own these small businesses, I hope they remember that on November 4th.
Oh, they're pissed.
That it wasn't
they are pissed because none of this should have happened.
And, you know, so myself, along with a couple other candidates that are running in my area, Julie Jenkins is one of them. We decided to start promoting something called Small Business Saturday every Saturday. Yeah. So what we do in our districts is we are trying to highlight some of the small businesses that are open, that are doing curbside pickup or whatever they're doing, to let people know, like, hey, they're open and they need your support. And that's been going really well. The small businesses have really been appreciative of just giving them a little bit of extra airtime, you know, putting on Facebook and letting people know, like, hey, you know, come support us, because again, Tallahassee is not supporting you. They do not support working families. All they care about are corporations that can give them large campaign contributions. And that's why our campaign is one of the only ones in the area that has publicly come out to say that we will not accept a penny of a corporate donation. Yeah. Not a penny.
Yeah, we're same boat. We're not taking any corporate PAC money. I mean, and you have to at this point. I mean, you have to do that. Otherwise, who are you really representing? Because I can tell you exactly who the people we're running against represent. I mean, the leading guy has almost $400,000 in his war chest. Half of it's from his own business that he got in federal contracts because he's down at Mar-a-Lago almost every weekend taking photos with people down there. And then the other people have gotten it from large ag or other places where, you know, they basically show up. They say, you know, we have a chance to win this thing, so give us as much money as possible. And, you know, tell all your buddies to give us as much money as possible, because who we're going to write the laws for? When a pandemic hits, who are we going to give the tax breaks to? When something happens, who are we going to think of first? Well, it's definitely not the small businesses. It's definitely not the people here in District 3. It's the people who don't exist.
I mean, it's the politicians, and this is why people don't like politicians. Yeah. It's because they are seen as just representing themselves, their special interests. Yeah. All they care about is staying in power and what their power can do for them. Yeah. You know, my opponent, for example, I believe he's being federally investigated. I don't even know at this point, but he, you know, took a grant. He took like a $70 million grant. Using his position of power. So when he was first elected into office as a state legislator, he went down to Little Hardy County, which we know Hardy County is pretty much controlled and owned by big phosphates and Mosaic, pretty much. And he used his status as a state legislator to get a $7 million grant to start a business, like a tech business. And they didn't keep any records. And a couple of years later, the business shuts their doors. All the money is gone. And all the 200 and something people are out of a job. And there are lawsuits, and there are people really investigating this. There was another article that came out that this company that Jamie Grant was part of, you know, they were defrauding Medicare. So I hope that comes out and people realize that he's a fraud.
Well, does that really surprise you when the governor of Florida made, $300 million, almost all his money, off defrauding Medicaid? Basically stealing from people who were sick. That's essentially what our Florida government has done. And that's historically, that's what they've done. And so to me, it doesn't really surprise me that small businesses are struggling, that workers are struggling. It doesn't surprise me that what's happened here in Florida is happening. The question is, are we going to let them do it again and again And again, like, when is enough? When is enough before we throw these people out of office, we publicly shame them, and we hold them accountable for what they've done? Because we have to, especially now. I mean, it's just, we don't have a choice anymore. And so I'm really glad that you are running where you are running and against who you're running. Goodbye. Good riddance. Don't care. Yes. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, no, we're excited. And, I'm really excited by so many candidates across the state of Florida that I've met, including you. We need more just regular, everyday people that knows what it's like to struggle. Yeah. I come from a family of working family who back in 2008, that's, right when the recession hit, my parents couldn't afford to send me to college. Yeah. So they took a second mortgage out on their house so that I could go to the University of Florida. And when the 2008 recession hit, and they were paying the second mortgage so I could be in college, my dad lost his job, and he was a construction worker, and he lost his job, and my family had to declare bankruptcy. And that was really tough. And then I realized, my parents are Republicans. I love them. They voted for Trump, but it's just really sad that people vote against their best interests. And so I think the Democrats, we need to reframe the debate, because we're losing that sometimes. It's to the point where we tell everybody what's the right thing, and we use our heart, but we don't go after the Republicans enough. We're like, oh, well, we can't really go after them. No, we got to go after them, because they've come after us. They've spread lies, and you know what? We're done with that. I'm gonna lay it out all on the table. I'm not scared to step up to my opponent. I'm not scared to step up to the NRA. Step up. We have to win this fight, because we are the party of compassion. We are the party that cares about people. We are the party that's going to fight for your health care, because that's a right that every single person deserves. It should not be tied to your job. And we've seen that with this pandemic. And so we are the party that is going to fight for you. And you need to find these candidates like me, like Adam and myself, and you need to fight with us, because that's the only way things are going to change. Our children are depending on us right now. They are depending on us to leave them a better future.
What I love right now is the amount of passion that you have, because every single person that I talk to, I feel that passion. I feel that anger, because after 2008, nobody helped us. Nobody came for us. Nobody put us first. And what happened? You had populist movements rise up, like Occupy Wall Street, like the Tea Party, in visceral reaction, because they were scared that they weren't going to be able to survive. And I know for a fact that's going to happen again. And the question is, do we let the same people that have done this over and over again keep doing it and stay in power? Or do we throw them out of office and stand up and say, look, what we need to do is start from the bottom up, not the top down. We do not give tax breaks to giant companies who make billions in profit. We do not give money to hedge funds in bailouts. We do not bail out speculators and gamblers and people in New Jersey and New York who don't know anything about us. And it's time that we actually have jobs and companies that are here in Florida, and not where they just take all of the money from our community and take it to an offshore bank account somewhere else. I am tired of that mentality, and I'm tired of other people getting what is ours. If we want to blame people for not being able to be okay, we have to blame the right people. And what Republicans have done, and what a lot of, especially Florida Republicans, have done, is place the blame on us or on our friends or our communities and say, well, you can't trust government. You just can't rely on it. When in reality,
but they are government.
They are government. They are the ones who have screwed
What do you mean? You've been in power for 25 years in Florida. Yep. Are you kidding me? You are the ones that have screwed up our healthcare system. You are the ones that have screwed up, and I'm not talking about Republican voters.
No,
because I have a ton
That's
of
my
Republican
entire family.
voters.
That's my entire family, and they are suffering as bad as anyone else.
That's half of my district. I love my Republican people.
Yeah.
The problem is the people in power in that party. And I'm not going to lie, it happens in our own party as well.
Yes.
We have Democrats. I love the Democratic Party. I do. We're trying to change it from the inside out. We have people on our own side that are also playing these games. So we need a new generation.
Yeah, it doesn't matter who it is. It does not matter what party you're in. If you are the one who has screwed up things, I'm not going to overlook it. If you are somebody who is taking essentially bribe money, and screwing normal people, I'm sorry. You don't get a pass just because you have a D next to your name. You don't get a pass just because you have an R next to your name. For so many people, I think that they see people that claim to be Republicans, and in their mind, they are not Republicans. They are extremists. They are not conservatives. Conservatives would not act the way that the people here in Florida have acted that are in power that call themselves Republicans. That is not conservative. That is extremist. And so for me, being able to point out the fact that, I grew up in one of the most conservative counties in the country in Indiana. I know what conservatism is. I know who is conservative. And these people, they are not Republican. They are not actual Republicans. They are not conservatives. They are not. And we need to point that out. We have to, like you said, take it to them because they don't get a pass anymore. And they don't get to screw people anymore. It doesn't matter who it is because they're screwing both Republicans and Democrats. They don't care. This is a class issue. It is not a political issue.
Yeah, we need people. Right now we need to bring people together. And I know politicians say that all the time. Oh, we're going to bring everyone together. Yeah. No, but we actually mean it. This campaign, I know my campaign here in Tampa, Florida, if you're a Democrat, if you're a Republican, if you're an MPA, if you vote every election, or if you've never voted in your life, we want you. We need you. We can really make change in this state and our community and in this country if we work together. So one of my disclaimers whenever we have a volunteer meeting is I say it right out front. I say, we have Republicans and we have Democrats and we have MPAs that are all here for one purpose, and it can make our community better. So there's not going to be bashing. We're not going to be bashing one party or the other. Exactly. Do you want to bash Jamie Grant? Go for it. Do you want to bash our governor? Sure. But we're not going to bash voters because it's not the voters. The voters need to be educated on some of these things. I mean, I hate to say that, but I think the government has lied to us for so long that it does get kind of confusing about who's going to do what for you and who's not. They tell you they're going to do one thing, but we need the receipt. We need to follow up with these lawmakers because they tell us one thing and that they come around every 2 years or 4 years and tell us all these great things they're going to do. And then we never follow up. We just kind of trust it's going to happen. Well, no more. We need to be lobbying. We need to be calling. We need to be emailing, all of it. So everyone's welcome. This is an inclusive campaign.
Yes, exactly. No, 100%. So, we're running out of time. Give everybody, what they need to know, where to go to like you on Facebook, follow you on Twitter, all that stuff. Sure. Give the spiel, and then I'm going to play some of your TikToks, which are great.
Oh, yeah.
Then we'll kind of end it right there. So I want to thank everybody for watching. And thank you, Jessica, for being on. And if there's anything that that we can do or point out or help you with, you just let me know. Because, it's not just about our campaign here. It's about getting people like you, like me, in office, because that's what matters. Because it's not just one place that matters. If we all are able to at least pitch in or at least put up even a freaking decent fight again in some of these districts and make it close, it takes away firepower from the other districts and makes it easier for them, because this is not about one place, it's about the entirety of Florida. And if we don't actually fix the state legislature as a whole, we don't stand a chance. If we don't fix the federal government as a whole, we don't stand a chance. And as we've seen with the pandemic, workers right now, middle-class people, people with small businesses, we don't stand a chance, especially with people who say that you can't trust the government when they are the government.
Yeah. So, well, thank you so much for having me on. I really appreciate it. I think you're a great candidate, and I am going to definitely be watching your race as well. If anyone that lives in the Hillsborough County area would like to volunteer, we definitely need you. You can go to www.jessicaharrington.org. You can follow us. All of our social media is on our website as well. And I'm going to work really hard to earn your vote. We have 6 months until Election Day, November 3rd, and we need your vote. So thank you for watching.
So what's your thing on Twitter?
It's at JHFORFL.
Okay. And I'm sure you can probably write that in the comments section. And you can go follow her on Facebook. Her Act Blue page is also up. You've done pretty well at fundraising this time. I know you only raised about $4,000 last time, but I think you're 50, 60 something?
Almost 50,000. Yeah, we're about 1,500 away from hitting that 50,000 mark.
Congratulations. We're going to ramp up our side of things this next week, actually. So we are we're turning our firepower on that. So I really appreciate you coming on. Really appreciate what you're standing for and being able to provide the perspective that you are. So thanks, Jessica.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Hello, we're twins. We're twins. Yes, sir. I am me. She is she. Except when I pretend I'm her. And when we switch, you can't tell which is which.
Now it's time for a breakdown.
Never gonna get it, 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 never gonna get it.